Metairie. It's the best you'll find anywhere in Metairie, New Orleans, and beyond. VooDoo BBQ and Grill. Taste the magic. We're at 2740 Severn Avenue here in Metairie. The Mojo sauce, Ida sight. I like the spicy version myself because I'm a spicy guy, especially today with lots to talk about. And a pleasant good evening to you, Ken Trahan, sportsNOLAtv from VooDoo BBQ on Severn Avenue in Metairie. So happy that you've taken time to join us and to talk about football, and more football. Saints, LSU, Tulane, high school, you name it, we've got it. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about. So let's not beat around the bush. Let's get right to things with our panelists, including our regulars. First of all, to the far side of the table, introducing from sportsNOLA.com, Brian Allee-Walsh.
Mr. Trahan, I'm not sure how you follow that introduction, but I will say this just in, there's been a reversal of a ruling on the field from yesterday by the replacement officials. We'll get to that call in just a moment.
It's appropriate. That would be number 6, by the way, yes, if this game is continuing. Also, as always, par excellence, former New Orleans Saints wide receiver Torrance Small to lend his expertise, his colorful views, and his colorful red shirt. Torrance.
Glad to be back, Kenny. Hey, glad to be back. Oh, man, I was planning on having a party this weekend. Everyone canceled because it was a Saints party. We're planning on watching the game against Green Bay, but I had a lot of people cancel, so I guess I'll be watching the game by myself, guys.
Wow.
I'll come over to you.
Speaking of Saints who caught the football very well, our special guest today is a Saints Hall of Famer, inducted back in 1994 into the Saints Hall of Fame. Hey, look at this. He's a running back, for crying out loud, against the Falcons. Look at him go. Hey, man, you talk about a wash, but he can catch the ball too. Not afraid to go over the middle, make catches, and of course, 8th all-time in receiving yardage still, Henry Childs, Saints Hall of Famer, in town for All Saints weekend. Henry, it's great to have you with us.
Well, Ken, it's been a great weekend, and I was really looking forward to it. I just hate the outcome of the game.
And this is a guy from Kansas City, no less. So he sees the Chiefs all the time, and he's going to talk about that during the course of the show. I don't want to steal his thunder. When we return, I'll look at those highlights, lowlights, whatever you want to call them, from the Saints game when we continue with sportsNOLAtv from VooDoo BBQ and Grill in Metairie. Drew Brees will get that next week. Green Bay not the greatest in terms of pass defense. Might be one of the highlights of the season the way this is unfolding, but surely it's greatness being exhibited by Drew Brees, and we give total kudos to him. Also want to give a big shout out to Chandra Piku, the general manager here at VooDoo BBQ and Grill. It's her birthday. She's 21 again. Happy birthday to Chandra Piku. We applaud you. We thank you. We thank VooDoo BBQ and Grill for having us here once again today for sportsNOLAtv. Okay, you saw the ugly highlights. Hard to believe that the New Orleans Saints, given their record at home last year, undefeated, 13 games in the win column, record-setting offense, can blow a 24-6 lead at home to a pedestrian offensive team in the Kansas City Chiefs, but they do. Brian, why?
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that softball.
Wow.
First off, I just want to say it's good that we finally have a receiver on the panel who can catch the ball. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Henry. Well, that's the $100 million question, Kenny. Is why, and I don't know if there's enough time on today's show to really answer it. I don't think there's one reason why. There's a number of reasons, beginning with Sean Payton's absence all the way down to players not doing their job. And then there's all the reasons in between, Kenny. But there is no excuse for this team to blow an 18-point lead at home, in control of a game, and then to lose it like they did. the offense went into a shell for whatever reason, whether it be play calling. To me, I know this is a sports cliche, and you guys are players, but the offense to me looked like they were playing not to lose more so than to win. They went into a shell. Drew Brees obviously missed some kind of leadership from the sideline that maybe is still missing with Sean Payton's absence.
I just think you hit on something, and I'll ask Torrance this question, or at least I'll pose to him the subject matter. I think what you said is very accurate. This looked like the old Saints. What am I saying about old Saints? I don't know. The Dick Nolan era Saints, the Bum Phillips era Saints, the Jim Mora era Saints, even though Jim did a good job and they won much of the time, they played not to lose frequently when they were ahead. And you kind of got that feeling during this game yesterday, Torrance.
Oh yes. I had an opportunity to play with, on the Jim Mora, and we did play a conservative type offense. And looking at the Saints right now, they are conservative. They're not only conservative, they're predictable. We know when they're going to run the ball. Ingram man, running the ball. Send an 8-man front. Stop it. We normally pass on those downs. I think the one thing we're not doing, we're not adjusting, guys. We're not adjusting. We look good the first half, second half, they adjust. We didn't. We don't know what plays to call. We look like a deer in headlight. We look like LSU when they played Alabama, when they didn't know what plays to call out on the field. And that's what we look like, and that's what is showing up in the scorebooks.
Henry, you have a very unique perspective because you see the Chiefs play pretty regularly because you're from Kansas City. You live there. Therefore, you know this team. And I know this really surprised you to see the Chiefs, a pedestrian, average, mediocre team, come back from 18 down in New Orleans to win this game.
Yes, Ken, you know, I watch the Chiefs all the time, and I watched them against some good competition, and I watched them against some bad competition. And when I saw them, first of all, the quarterback was, he get happy feet when they blitz, and not only that, they've been inconsistent over the season. And I was very surprised when the way the Saints played them. First half, they looked good. Second half, they just fell apart. Seemed like you could tell that Payton wasn't on the sideline because I didn't see the type of intensity, I didn't see the type of play calling, and I didn't see the execution. People were making all kinds of mistakes, and that's not the Saints team that I saw last year. But I think that the major problem is that the X factor is in there, and that's Sean Payton.
Well, he's a big factor, Brian, and he mentioned blitzing. They don't do a whole lot of that, and clearly their down linemen aren't capable of getting to the quarterback.
And Kenny, there were so many times where you try to draw comparisons of past years, and there were so many opportunities I thought for them to bring an extra pass rusher, and they didn't. Now this is Steve Spagnuolo's philosophy. You try to get a conventional 4-man rush from your down lineman. Well, there are times when they're not getting it, and I think they perhaps need a little boost. And let me go back to just one thing Henry says. I think it's the body language that you look at people. We always talk about an Aaron Brooks and the body language that he put forth. You look for body language from coaches, Sean Payton when he was on the sideline, or Aaron Cromer, lack thereof. I looked at Drew Brees' body language yesterday, and you could see they don't have that swagger. Nobody does, you know?
And here it is, Torrance. The three most animated guys on that sideline for the past several years, Sean Payton, Greg Williams, and Joe Vitt, ain't there no more.
As they say. And I've been saying, the team has to have an identity. We don't have it. We don't have a coach with an identity. They need to give Cromer. If you ask me, let him go in there and cut somebody. Let him get rid of somebody so they know he means business. Because they don't think he means business. Guys out there, nobody's been held accountable. If he go and he cut somebody, everybody in attendance will go up, everybody will perform better, they will look better, and that swagger, it'll start to come back because right now it's not his team. It's still Sean Payton's team, and Sean Payton is at home watching the game just like me.
And Henry, you mentioned about Payton, but as a player, when you have a head coach eat you out for a mistake, it's accountability. It makes a difference. And I think the problem is right now you've got a head coach who really isn't a head coach and isn't going to be a head coach in a couple of weeks. So therefore, he might not feel like he has the hammer to be able to do that to his players.
Well, I think, like I said, Sean Payton is the X factor. But now it comes down to each player evaluating themselves. And they're going to have to step up, and they're going to have to look at themselves and say, did I make the right block? Did I make the right pass? Did I rush in the proper manner, or either did I cover in the proper manner? And I think each of them got to do that, evaluate themselves, and then, go back and, hey, let's go play to win.
Yeah, and obviously, as you watch this game, it's one of those collective efforts. Offense didn't perform in the second half. Defense didn't perform the whole game. Kicker missed a field goal. It's a little bit of everything.
That reminds me, like you said, it reminds me of something of the past. When we would play a first good half, and then the second half, ooh, boom, game over.
Yeah, it's a little bit. At least there wasn't any Big Ben here.
Exactly.
Or at least there wasn't any Grover Clemmer pass interference in the end zone in Atlanta, or Russell Ertzlaving dropping a snap in the end zone, or am I giving you nightmares now or what?
Those are nightmares. I can remember plenty days. I can remember this one game we had Oakland 35-0 at halftime, and then they came back. The second half was just zip. We didn't do a thing. And then we weren't a ball control team, but they wanted us to control the ball. And see the chemistry when you're trying to win a game, you got to maintain what you do best.
Yes, got to. We'll do what we do best when we return in a moment, taking a look around the NFL as SportsNOLAtv continues. Our SportsNOLAtv trivia question of the evening. Jamal Charles rushed for 233 yards on Sunday. What opposing back rushed for the most yards in a game against the Saints? This is all time now. Was it Marshall Faulk, New Orleanian, and Hall of Famer, Willie Ellison, Mike Anderson, or Gerald Riggs? Some pretty interesting names there to consider. We'll have the answer for you a little bit later in the show. Ken Trahan, VooDoo BBQ and Grill on Severn and Metairie, where the food's great. Just use the spicy sauce on any of the meats that you get, and I know you will enjoy what you have. And we always enjoy taking a trip around the NFL, so let's take a look at some of the results from around the NFL. Of course, the Thursday night game, the Giants had no problem with the team the Saints couldn't stop, Carolina 36-7. Buffalo has rebounded nicely from their Week 1 debacle. They beat Cleveland 24-14. How about Jacksonville rallying behind Blaine Gabbert to beat the Colts 22-17? The Bears have pretty good players, and they handled the Rams 23-6. Dallas, in a defensive struggle, beat Tampa Bay 16-10. They're not very good either. The Jets in overtime beat Miami 23-20, but Revis Island done for the year. Huge loss for New York. Minnesota stopped the 49er juggernaut. They're not ready to punch their tickets to the Super Bowl yet. 24-13. Cincinnati in a wild one over Washington, 38-31. Redskins haven't won since they left here either, folks. Atlanta, they're pretty good. Killed San Diego 27-3. Wild game of the day, overtime. Tennessee 44, Detroit 41. Major faux pas by the Lions. Arizona, Peyton Manning, I told you to sign there. 27-6 over Philadelphia. And Peyton, you signed with Denver and you're 1-2. Houston beat the Broncos 31-25. It was Oakland 34, Pittsburgh 31 in a wild one. Good win for the Raiders over their arch rivals, and great game last night. Tremendous comeback by the Ravens to beat New England 31-30. Monday night game, Green Bay at Seattle. Long trip for the Packers in a short week against the Saints next week. So that's the NFL card from this past weekend and what's to come tonight. We'll start with Brian. What got your attention about those results from this past weekend, Brian?
Besides the Saints' loss, of course, here in New Orleans, I would say Arizona's win, 3-0, San Francisco's loss, and then what was the game that won? There was another game in there that was Atlanta going west and dismantling San Diego 27-3.
Yeah, Torrance?
Yeah, I'll say the Minnesota game. I thought San Francisco, young pounder back there, quarterback, and you have Adrian Peterson just trying to get himself back healthy and all. I thought their defense would go and shut down their offense and be able to run the ball with Gore and put some points on the board. But Minnesota didn't have it. They played a great game, and I thought that was a big surprise.
Henry?
Well, the Baltimore Ravens game, it was a hard-fought game, and I thought New England was going to pull it out, but hey, it didn't happen that way.
No, Belichick really mad at the officials like a lot of coaches and players are these days, but what a comeback by the Ravens to come back from 2 scores down to beat the Patriots. I think all of these guys are right. I think all the games they talked about are the ones that probably made the biggest impression, but as an old school guy, you had to like seeing the Raiders and the Steelers play each other. They hated each other, unbelievable rivals, and they staged a heck of a game, and Oakland won the game. So it was pretty interesting stuff. As for the NFC South Division, well, it's a one-horse race. Can we just go ahead and give the division to the Falcons already, Torrance?
Oh, yes. We all picked the Saints. We thought the Saints would come out and play a lot better. And, you know, looking back at those picks, what did the Saints do to get better this year? I thought they got it worse. You know, come to thinking about it, I think they made the team worse than what it was last year.
Henry?
Well, I'm not going to give up on the Saints. I'm going to be an optimist because I know, you know, they still have the talent, but they just got to find themselves. And like I said earlier, they're going to have to do some soul searching. Each one of them are going to have to look at themselves and say, hey, did I do my job? And just like Sean Payton said, do your job.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kenny, I had them 3-0 right here going into Green Bay, so it shows you what I know. But they're gonna be hard pressed to win 6-7 games this year.
I agree with you. In 2007, they were 0-4, and they rallied to win 7 games. And frankly, that team looks better than this team. Just going back and looking at some of those games that they lost, and also seeing the way they played, at least at this point, that team evoked more confidence than this team does at this point. So clearly, they're in deep trouble. And as for the Falcons, I agree. To go west, not only to beat the Chargers, but to hold them to 3 points is a huge statement. I think they're pretty good and better than I ever thought they would be. And like you guys, I thought the Saints would be the team to beat in this division. Clearly, that's not the case. And in the case of the Panthers and the Buccaneers, they're not good enough yet. Listen, you take the Saints out of the equation, the Panthers have been horrible offensively. And the Buccaneers, they're not good enough. It's that simple. So it's all about the Atlanta Falcons. And like Henry said, if the Saints can somehow catch lightning in a bottle, maybe they could play themselves back into at least contending for a playoff spot as a wild card, as a second-place team, because there is no other team in this division, in my estimation, that's going to make a serious run at a playoff spot. So that's what the NFC South looks like right now. Pretty much a one-horse town, a one-team race, and that's unfortunate if you happen to be a Saints fan. Well, it was a great weekend for the Saints this past week because it was Hall of Fame weekend. Alumni in town from all over the country, and of course, that means it was time to induct some new members into the Saints Hall of Fame, which we did this past Friday at a luncheon at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Nice setting, good food, everything good except for that guy. Tom Benson and Deuce McAllister inducted. Special portrait of Tom Benson. He and Deuce were both very pleased with the honors.
You know, when I bought the team, well, that's way back in '85, a long time ago, and that I said, the only way I'm going to get interested in this, like we do with everything else, is that we have to bring a championship to New Orleans. By all means, we did that. It took a little longer than we wanted, but we did it. And we're going to do it again and again, too. Do that.
Deuce McAllister, his likeness. Ole Miss in town to play Tulane.
I've had a lot of success. I've been able to go a lot of different places and to be able to do a lot of different things, and it's a tremendous honor just to think about some of the names when you see some of the great names up on the boards and you look at the rich history of this organization, and just to be knowing that you're going to be a part of it for the rest of your time as long as it's around, you know, it truly takes you back. And I'm definitely humbled by it, and you know, I'm tremendously thankful.
Jim Henderson receiving the Joe Gemelli Florida Lee Award. Brian, you're on the selection committee. It's a very special class.
It really was, and all three are such deserving men. you know what, when you see the collection that we were fortunate to vote in, it's nice to be part of that selection process. It really is.
And it means a lot, Henry. You were inducted a long time ago, but I know it means a lot.
Yeah, it was very exciting for me because, see, and the reason it was exciting was because my college coach, who was Vince Gibson, was there, who spoke for me, and also Hank Stram was there, who spoke for me. So it was a great event and a great time.
And Torrance, you're still waiting on the call, buddy.
I'm gonna keep on waiting. But it's great that these guys had an opportunity to get in. That's what it comes.
Waiting too.
Wait, look. If you vote for me, I'll get in. You just told me you're on the committee. We holding them to it. T. Small next year, Hall of Fame.
If you don't leave for free agency, maybe you would have had a shot. We'll take our shots on our hot seat segment when we return to SportsNOLA TV.
2 guys on the committee won't vote me in.
SportsNOLA TV trivia. Bang, bang, bang. Here we go. Jamal Charles rushing for 233 yards. What opposing back rushed for the most yards in a game against the Saints in franchise history? Was it Marshall Faulk, Willie Ellison, Mike Anderson, or Gerald Riggs? And the answer is... wow. Pretty impressive. Mike Anderson, and I got it wrong earlier today. I must confess, I thought it was Willie Ellison, but it was Mike Anderson. And therefore, at least this Saints team can say they don't hold that ignominious record, which will, of course, lead us into our hot seat segment because it's all about accountability. And our hot seat segment is when we place Brian Allee-Walsh on the hot seat with a topical topic for discussion, which may not be the easiest topic to discuss. Right now, it's not easy to talk about 0-3. Listen, we don't like it either, and we'd like to see this team succeed, truly. But the Saints are 0-3. And our hot seat question today for Brian Allee-Walsh is, who is to blame? Would it be the coaches primarily or the players primarily? Brian, the floor is yours.
You know, I have vacillated.
Close.
Vacillated.
That was very close. Nice try at expanding your vocabulary.
Oscillated.
Just write it, don't speak it, okay? sportsNOLA.com,
on this topic, and actually I addressed this topic in today's blog, today's post on sportsNOLA.com about the accountability factor. And you know, I think it is. I'm gonna take this side, and I can make an argument on the other side as well. I think the coaches here are to blame. I think management is to blame. I don't know what the proper way to do it is, but how they've done it is not the right way. I think to have a mural or a poster of Sean Payton up in the indoor facility overlooking everything, you cannot please Sean Payton. This is not about Sean Payton. It's not about Joe Vitt. It's not about Aaron Cromer, all right? And these guys have been put into almost an impossible situation as head coaches. But they need to take control. It is their team. It is not Sean Payton's team. And obviously they have not gotten this message across in a proper way. So I place the blame on the coaches. They have not taken control. They have not seized control of the situation.
This is so hard for me right now. I agree with this guy. It's eating me up right now. I honestly agree with him. I think it's the coaches. I think definitely the front office, I include them part of they did nothing to improve the New Orleans Saints. We lost Meacham, we didn't replace him. We lost Porter, we didn't replace him. We didn't do anything to replace these guys, and then and the one thing that I agree with you on, this is not Sean Payton's team. He does not coach this year. It is not his team. Let's throw him get his name out of our mouth. This is not Sean Payton's team. Whoever's running this team need to run it, put their name on it, stamp it, and get these guys playing where they can follow you. Because right now they cannot follow Sean Payton. If they're going to follow Sean Payton, they will follow him when playoff time comes. They'll be home just like he is.
And I agree too that it's the coaches. The chemistry is just not there right now. And this coach needs to step up and, hey, he needs to kick somebody to the curb or either whatever he needs to do to get them to get some intensity and execute, because see, there were too many mistakes in the game Sunday.
Yeah, but this thing, guys, we understand players have to go out and play. They do have to go out and play. They do have to execute, and we're not executing. But we all know this thing starts from the top and come down. If it was me, I wouldn't have had somebody from the inside run this team. I'd have brought somebody from the outside. Because the inside, everybody's trying to keep this Sean Payton's team, trying to do everything like Sean Payton does, and you cannot mimic Sean Payton. I thought Bill Parcells would have been a good pick, maybe somebody else, but somebody else who would have came in and held everybody accountable. You have these coaches that are within, they just trying to follow suit. They're, you know, the guys, everybody trying to follow suit, and that is not turning this thing around. I thought somebody else should have came in and led this team.
Kenny, I tell you what, you know, go back to the mural, the poster of Sean Payton in the indoor facility. If Sean Payton and the inscription, "Do your job," if that is what it takes to motivate this football team, something's horribly wrong. Yeah, I know. It is not inspiring, it is not motivating, and all I can think of, if I was on this football team and I walked into that indoor facility today and I had him staring down at me, "Do your job," I'll tell you what, that wouldn't inspire me necessarily. You know what I'd say? Where the hell are you? That's what I would say. Exactly. And if Sean Payton's mural is going to stay up there, put Tom Benson's mural up there right next to it that says, "Do your job or else." There is nothing wrong with creative tension, and I think some heads have to roll.
You guys make some outstanding points. I'm very proud that you're able to decipher things, unravel this mystery, and come up with the answers that you've come up with. But you're all wrong. The answer isn't the players or the coaches. It's Roger Goodell. Plain and simple. He ravaged this franchise and destroyed any chance of this team having any success this year with excessive, exorbitant, unnecessary penalties. Again, let me make this very clear. The New Orleans Saints deserve to be penalized for their indiscretions, but nowhere near the level that we have seen. It is unprecedented. I hearken back once more to the Patriots and Spygate. Clear attempts to cheat, and there were no suspensions. Here, we have hearsay. He said, he said. We have a couple of emails. But when you look at the video evidence, does it really exist that anything truly happened with the New Orleans Saints regarding intent to injure? Really? Again, this is all about alumni like Torrance, like Henry, who played the game, many of whom suffered injuries over a long period of time, who are now suing the league about some of the injuries and the results of those injuries. And the league is extremely sensitive to that. And that is the primary reason that exists for why this transpired. Roger Goodell destroyed this Saints season. Now, the coaches are to blame. They have not done a good job. A coach's job is to put a player in his best position to succeed. They have not done that with play calling or with the personnel they have chosen or with the personnel they chose to replace the personnel they lost. No question Torrance is right. They did not replace Tracy Porter, did not replace Robert Meacham, did not basically replace Carl Nix, at least not when the player is good. The only guy they replaced was Jonathan Vilma, of an equal ability guy, and Curtis Lofton. When you lose those kind of players, it's going to hurt you. And then, of course, the players totally accountable. They have not performed. I don't care who's coaching the team. You have to play the game to the best of your ability. There's blame all around, but it starts with the ruling of Roger Goodell. That's my judgment. And that's what I'm saying, and I'm sticking to it. Although I admire these guys and what they had to say as well. And now, Sports NOLA questions. You have them? We'll answer them. Twitter at Sports NOLA, Facebook at sportsNOLA.com. You got questions? We'll be glad to field them and enjoy interacting with you in the process of doing so. Again, at Sports NOLA and sportsNOLA.com. And we hope you will do so, just like we hope you'll come to VooDoo BBQ at 2740 Severn Avenue in Metairie, where we are today, where the food is outstanding, the setting is great, the parking is plentiful, it's convenient as can be, so there's no reason not to be here at VooDoo BBQ and Grill. Hope you will be. We'll return in just a moment to take a look at college football and prep football on Sports NOLA TV. Now at sportsNOLA.com. What's trending? Well, lots of analysis on the Saints and the Chiefs. You won't want to miss it. College football recaps from this past weekend. The most complete prep coverage, man, do we have it, including our new top 10s for sportsNOLA.com around the state, and first NBC video updates each and every day. Lenny Van Gilda joins me for that. Quarterback club footage from today as well, where Henry Childs was. You name it, we've got it at sportsNOLA.com. Be there, do that, check it out, enjoy it. College football this past weekend, the LSU Tigers won an SEC game, and they did so on the road. What's wrong with that? I don't know, apparently a lot, because people don't like it. They're complaining loudly, and the pollsters apparently noticed as the Tigers drop in the polls. Starts off pretty good. Michael Ford, good blocking, gets outside, picks up significant yardage, and then look at the hole here for Ford. My goodness, bounces it outside, evades a tackle, and he continues to go. Look, LSU had control of this game early, Brian. They were in total control. Looked like it was going to be a blowout early on.
Zach Bedenberger looked like he had come to play, and the running game, their defense continues to be
here's
astounding.
the big play. Here's why they didn't blow them out.
Play.
Because P.J. Lonergan gets hurt. They put in a number 2 center, and the snap is high to Mettenberger, and they fumble it away. However, LSU gets a safety with their defensive front nonetheless, and they get the 2-point lead, and they'll get the ball back. Sam Montgomery had a phenomenal game. Swing it out in the flat to Spencer Ware. Always is going to run into collisions. He wants to hit people. He doesn't want to evade anybody. Did a good job there. Look at him bulldoze his way down the field very impressively. Torrance, look, they haven't been tested yet. They needed this.
Yes, Mecklenburg definitely needs this. I want to see what he was going to do in the SEC away from home. He's been pretty good at home. I want to see him away from home because this going to get, they go to Florida in the next couple of weeks.
It's the only play Auburn made in the game, and Henry, I know you're thrilled with Kansas State and what they did in Oklahoma this past weekend. I know you know that LSU is an elite football team on the college level.
Well, this was a great game, you know, and it went down to the last play, and that's the kind of games that I like to be involved in and see happen, because see, that means that hey, you cannot take a break. You got to be aware of what's going on, and you got to keep maintaining your intensity. And both of those teams maintain their intensity and turn out to be a good game, and the best team won.
Muncie makes a big interception. Then there's a daring throwback play to Spencer Ware, Brian. He gets the ball in space, makes a man miss, makes a big play, and then, of course, the game clincher here at the Harold Simon with the interception. Tigers win 12-10. It is a win, but people want style points, right?
You know, absolutely, and you know, a lot of people say that wait on these polls until October when you really get a good sampling of games. But it is amazing that they go on the road, beat a decent Auburn team. They're better than the 12-10 score, but it's still a good win, and they're undefeated. All
right, Torrance, your top 10 as of today. Tigers dropped to 3rd. Look at that Kansas State team in the 8th slot. Your thoughts?
I tell you what impressed me, Florida State. I had the opportunity to watch that game, and I tell you, I think Florida State is back.
Henry, I know you're thrilled with your alma mater in Kansas State. Coach Snyder does a heck of a job.
Yeah, I was excited. Coach Snyder prepares. He's one of those coaches that, hey, he pays attention to details, and he tries to put people on the field and in the best position to make plays, and they made plays against Oklahoma, and hey, I'm glad they went from 15th to 8th, which is good move for them.
You know, Kenny, you can move LSU down, you can move Oregon up, but there's 2 teams in this country. It's Alabama and LSU, in my opinion.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's a different year, but certainly you got to prove that you can beat these guys if you're somebody else, including Oregon, who had no chance to beat LSU a year ago. Tulane, of course, came home, and they played Ole Miss, and it didn't work out very well. Wave had to start a true freshman quarterback in Devin Powell. Ole Miss had their way, 450 total yards, and Devin Powell, in his first career start, you know, listen, it went about as you would expect for a guy in his first career start against an SEC team, Torrance.
Oh yes, it's tough. That's hard for a young guy to come in and play an SEC team his first game out. Too tough for him. CJ's going to have his growing pains this year. Hopefully they can bounce back next year.
Brian, it's obvious that they can't match up front. They're just getting overwhelmed up front, and you have no chance to win when you get beat up front consistently.
No, and you know, you had this fear that this first season for Curtis Johnson was going to go this way, and you know, you just hope they can stay the course. You hope that the resources continue. You hope you get the support from the administration.
And Henry, it was nice because we had Deuce in town to induct him into the Saints Hall of Fame, and of course he's an Ole Miss guy, and he got a chance to watch his alma mater play, his band perform. They had him on the field at halftime of the Saints game as well with his band. And Ole Miss, new coach, Hugh Freeze, they're pretty good offensively, not so good defensively. That's why it was disappointing that Tulane didn't score in this game.
Well, the thing about it was, it was a great weekend for me, and I had heard a lot about the Tulane Ole Miss game, but I heard everybody, even one of our alumni attended Ole Miss, and he was saying that, you know, I don't think we, you know, I think we're gonna blow them out, and that's what happened. He said, you know, he didn't feel like Tulane was ready to compete with.
That was Jimmy Heidel,
yeah,
who's an Ole Miss grad, and
exactly.
of course John Forcade, Chuck Comiskey, Archie Manning, a lot of Ole Miss grads that played for the New Orleans Saints. And of course Archie's kids played at Newman School, and our Greater New Orleans Quarterback Club, sportsNOLA.com, WGSO 990 AM Prep Player of the Week for week number 4 is sophomore quarterback Jay Tyler of the Newman Greenies against Clark on Friday. 22 of 25 completions, 258 yards, 4 touchdowns, and the sophomore rushed for 45 yards and a touchdown. And oh, by the way, he had a 2-point conversion on a pass as well, and I think he may have delivered the water during timeouts as Newman won the game convincingly over Clark. And Jay Tyler, by the way, just a sophomore, happens to be the son of Herb Tyler, the former O'Perry Walker and LSU star. Torrance?
Yes, I think great numbers by the young man. Only 3 incompletions. I think that's great. As a sophomore as well, I look forward to seeing him later on. Hopefully he'll go to Tulane and help them out.
Runs in the family, Brian. Those genes are pretty good, huh?
I'll tell you what, Herb Tyler, Jay Tyler, you're right. That's a winning combination there.
Pretty impressive. Of course, every week there's some good prep games on the slate, and we've got some really good ones coming up this weekend. Again, we encourage you to listen into the original on WGSO 990 AM and through sportsNOLA.com. Carr-dominated Selman this past week. What a tremendous win it was for Ed the Carr. They're dynamite. Trahan in a stunner over West Jefferson. Rummel did it with defense to protect its #1 ranking, beating Denham Springs. And everybody else held serve. And then this coming week, game that could decide a district title, it has the past few years, St. Paul, Mandeville on the North Shore, which is one of our feature games this weekend. So it's another great card in high school football this weekend. What about those Ben Franklin Falcons, man?
Well, they took it on the chin to Lusher, but the thing that surprises me about that listing was that Rummel was 3rd and not 1st at the top of the playlist there.
How's that?
Well, I thought with your all's background, Rummel background with Lenny Van Gilder, I just thought we might see the Raiders up with a little bit higher in the rankings there.
I hear what you're saying. I'm going to have to work on the producer and see if we can kind of fix that for next week. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? When we return, we'll talk about what's to come in the coming week as Sports NOLA TV continues from VooDoo BBQ and Grill in Metairie. Come on out and join us. Come see this great place. Come get some great food and have a great time at VooDoo BBQ and Grill. Back in just a moment. VooDoo BBQ and Grill. Taste the magic here at 2740 Severn Avenue in Metairie. You see the contact information. We see the food, and it's good. And we consume it too. It never misses. Right down the middle on those attempts. Perfect kicks. Get your kicks with VooDoo BBQ and Grill. Ken Trahan, Sports NOLA TV from VooDoo BBQ and Grill. And of course, the New Orleans Saints hitting the road to face the Green Bay Packers. That's a Fox game, 3:25 this coming Sunday. And you figure the ball's going to be in the air quite a bit. Brian, the Saints lost last year in that thriller. Came back, fell a yard short, gave the ball to Mark Ingram. Why they ever do that, I have no idea. But having said that, they might do it again this week. We'll see.
How soon we forget, right? Well, the Packers, of course, are coming on a short week, so that's one advantage. But I think it's fitting that we're at VooDoo BBQ this week because you know what? They're going to need to put some voodoo on the Packers next week if they're going to walk away with a win.
All right, you're going to have to score a lot of points if you want to win at Lambeau Field, Henry.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to tell you something. What I saw Sunday, hey, they're short. They're not executing. I don't see this as a win for the Saints because you know it's just too many weaknesses that they've displayed, and unless they can overcome those in a week, and I don't see them doing it.
All right, Torrance?
Well, you know what I like to see? I like to see Coach Cromer come out with his team, and I like to see them come out and play and see how they play. His team.
All right, ball's going to be in the air a lot. I like the Packers to win the game. Of course, high school football, very important to us on WHNO, and our first NBC Prep Showcase continues with the #1 team in the nation, the John Curtis Patriots, in a district battle against the Riverside Rebels and Bill Stubbs. You can watch it Saturday at 9 a.m. here on WHNO TV, Channel 20. And we hope you will. Also have a great show on Wednesday nights. I want you to check out our Prep Recruiting Insider with Ken Berthelot and Renee Nato, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. on WHNO. Brian, as always, a pleasure. Thanks for being with us, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Torrance, job well done.
I appreciate it.
Henry Charles, great to have you with us, my friend.
Thanks, good to be here.
For this trio, the Three Stooges, I'm Ken Trahan. Thanks for joining us. Be a good sport, and God bless you one and all. Rounding third and heading home. So long.